Can you believe we're on the downhill stretch now, over the halfway point of the British and Irish Lions tour? This is game 6 out of 10 already, and it's the final team that Andy Farrell is selecting before naming his test side to face Australia. It's an AU NZ Invitational 15 against the British and Irish Lions in Adelaide, and the team that has been selected is there. There are the 23 names, and the first thing that jumps off the page is, how many English fly-halves do you need? 3 of them in one matchday squad. It's quite amazing, really. And when you think George Ford could have been there as well, I mean, it just goes to show England are absolutely stacked in that particular area. Owen Farrell making his Lions bow, officially becoming a British and Irish Lion for a 4th consecutive tour, which is remarkable as well. Number 23, so he's not actually there as a fly half. He's clearly there as a 12, and it will be Hugh Jones that is covering wing and fullback in the event of any more injuries. Other talking points, Hewitt Pelotu together again and with a chance to show their worth ahead of test selection. Hugo Keenan, we're still waiting on Blair Kinghorn's situation, talking about injuries in the outside backs. No official word. We just know that Hugo Keenan has had a scan, and hopefully it's good news for him coming soon. Otherwise, Hugo Keenan might be the only choice. So, and Hugo Keenan, because he was ill, he's only had one match, about 60 minutes of rugby. He needs minutes under his belt, and he needs a better performance than he did in the last game. Pollock, Morgan, Earl. What a back row. That is fast. It is fleet of foot. Hopefully there'll be no breakdown issues as a result, but 7, that jersey is definitely up for grabs, and at least one spot on the bench as well. And Tadhg is lock and captain. What do you make of it? Let me know in the chat down below. I'll be there with you. And well, actually, before I was going to go through, and I will go through, what positions, which players out of that 23, I'll put them into categories. I think there's about a third of the team that are playing for test starting spots. I think there's about a third of the team that are playing for test bench spots. And I think there's about a third of the team that, although it feels cruel to say it, are, well, just playing for the honour of representing the British and Irish Lions, but aren't realistically going to be in the test team. Let me know if you agree with that when I get to it. But first, a quick look at who they'll be playing. As I say, it's called the AU NZ Invitational 15. Just call it Anzacs. That's what it was always called in the past. Apparently, that's politically incorrect. I don't understand. Just call it the Anzacs. I mean, it's a really, really cool team, first and foremost. Class names in that. Well, the back row is dynamite. Shannon Frizzell, Pete Samu, and Hoskins Satutu. That is awesome. And the back line, power right across that park. Laumape, Corumbete, Lamb. Got some big old units in there. In fact, the whole back line is big. The whole pack is big, actually. Angus Blythe and Lucan Salakai Lotto, they're big old units too. And the front row have already played the British and Irish Lions for their Super Rugby franchises before now as well, and did all right. So, I mean, if nothing else, this is going to be a properly physical test. And if you gave them a month or so training together, like you have the British and Irish Lions, I think this team could do some proper damage. But the challenge for them is going to be that C word again, the C word that's been used so much over the last month or two, cohesion. And a good team will always be a collection of great individuals. This will probably have a bit of a Barbarians feel to it. So I would just say the Lions, for a number of reasons. 1, to beat the opposition in front of them, and 2, to play in a way that Andy Farrell will look upon favourably for test selection. The Lions need to go out and play with structure, with shape, strong scrum, line out, maul, territory. I think that will crush the opposition and be good test match preparation. So that is what I expect to happen. I think the Lions will make a massive mistake if they get drawn into a Barbarians type match. Although, looking again at the pack, some absolute ballers there. That back row is so exciting to watch. We are, by the time this game happens, going to be 1 week before the test. There is no midweek game next week. So it's going to be a proper test week. They're going to get themselves to Brisbane, and they're going to have plenty of time to recharge the batteries and to get some good quality time out on the training field. So that's why I think all of these players will go into this match. All 23 will go into the match thinking they can force their way into the test 23. The reality is, I don't think that is going to be realistic. Even if some players had absolute blinders, I don't think they'll make the test team. But for some players, absolutely that possibility exists. And here's how I see it. Those names there that I've highlighted, 7 of them, have all got a shot at starting the next test match. Again, tell me if you agree, disagree, think there's other names I should add to it, or others you disagree that I've put on there. So Hugo Keenan, I think him starting is Kinghorn dependent. If Blair Kinghorn's got a knock, that means he can't train for some of next week. That puts Hugo Keenan right in the driving seat. He needs to perform because he didn't by his very high standards last time. I think he will. And it could well be Hugo Keenan starting the test match. I think for Hugo Keenan, he either starts or he's not involved. I think for Blair Kinghorn, he could start or be on the bench. Both possibilities exist. Huey Pilotu, they both have a lot on this game. Ringrose is in for me. I think he's locked down the number 13 shirt. Tua Pilotu could get the 12 jersey off Bundyaki. Hugh Jones, I mean, maybe if Hugh Jones, who was great in the last performance he played, if he goes and has an incredible game, I could be wrong. I think Ringrose has locked it down. But Tua Pilotu, I think, basically, him and Aki are both going to be in the 23 for the test, if fit. And I think it would just be a decision about which one's 12 and which one's number 23. But I think they'll both be in. So I'd say Hugh Jones has got less chance than Tua Pilotu. But you never know. If he has an absolute blinder, why not? Will Stewart, unlikely that he'll start at 3. I think Furlong possibly proved his fitness and he's got the pedigree. And there's relatively little experience of British and Irish Lions in past tours. Furlong's got experience of 2. That is invaluable. And I think we'll get him the start. But number 18 for Will Stewart, more than likely. Tyg Byrne, I would never, ever write him off. He has not been at his best. It was interesting listening to him in the press conference, speaking with Andy Farrell. And he was talking about how he doesn't really see himself as a 6. He doesn't really play much club rugby there. Sort of subtly, I think, Tyg Byrne is frustrated, probably frustrated at his own performances. But he seems to be saying, I'm not playing that well because I'm not playing in my position. Well, he is now. And I would never rule him out being involved. Certainly, he could start. I'd say more likely Tyg Byrne is fighting for a spot on the bench. But I do think with Tyg Byrne saying that and Andy Farrell sat alongside him, I mean, Andy Farrell took 6 locks on tour. So I just think Tyg Byrne's kind of saying, I'm not a 6. I don't. But he didn't say this, but Tyg Byrne was sort of subtly saying, I don't want to play 6. I'm a lock. Which makes me think Andy Farrell took one too many locks on tour. Look at the fact that in this game, Scott Cummings is on the bench. So I think possibly one too many locks on tour, and maybe he could have done with a genuine 6 rather than playing Tyg Byrne at 6. But, you know, hindsight is always 2020. Monday morning quarterback in it here. And Josh van der Fleer and Jack Morgan, they are both potentially starting 7s. It could be that one of them is 7 and one is on the bench. It could be one's on the bench and one is out the squad. But what a battle that is. Jack Morgan will want another big game as he gave the last time he wore the 7 jersey. And then there's a bunch of players that are fighting for spots in the 23. And I've got them as Finn Smith and Marcus Smith. I'd say Marcus Smith probably got the edge at the moment. Finn Smith didn't do well on his last game. Marcus Smith hasn't actually played at 10, but has done really well at 15 when he's been asked to play there, which is not his best position. He's shown some nice touches. I think that versatility will probably get him on the bench over Finn Smith. Luke Cowan-Dickey and Ronan Kelleher. I think you probably have to say Kelleher has the edge because he was in the team the other day. But then again, Cowan-Dickey plays another strong performance and he's a really good scrummaging hooker. If he does well, he could get that spot. It's a shootout. Finlay Bealham I've included. It would have to be at Will Stewart's expense, I think. So if Will Stewart has a stinker and Finlay Bealham comes on and does really well, he could nick his bench spot. But I'd say that's more of an outside shout for Bealham. Pollock and Earl. I don't think either will start. Both are legit 20 or 21 jerseys, depending on what the bench composition is. And you might be thinking, hold on, how come you've not put Mac Hansen or Duhan van der Merwe there? Harsh. Yeah, maybe it is a bit harsh, actually. I think even if Duhan van der Merwe has an absolute worldie of a game, I think James Lowe's going to be in. I couldn't help thinking, coming off the back of the game, we only saw James Lowe kick the ball once. And that's one of the most important elements that he has when he plays for Ireland. You find him quite often in the backfield. Prendergast or Crowley or whoever it is at 10 gets the ball, ships it out one to James Lowe, big wiper kick on his left foot, and we hardly saw that for the Lions. I'm absolutely convinced there is loads being held back by the Lions, that included. And when it comes to test match time, James Lowe is going to be a massive strategic part of the way the Lions play, as he is for Ireland. So I think even if Duhan van der Merwe has just one of his ridiculous games when he just does incredible things, I still don't see him starting. And Mac Hansen, I think he's behind Tommy Freeman. He could get, there's an outside chance Mac Hansen could be number 23 on the bench, but I think it's more likely to be Tuipulotu. So that's why I've picked that one. And just to highlight, I haven't highlighted Andrew Porter or Alex Mitchell because I think they're already in. I think they're already on the bench. Sealed, done, delivered, so long as they stay fit. That's how I see it. I'd love to know what you think. Bring on the game on Saturday. It's coming thick and fast, but after this one, we get a little bit of a breather again, a full week to build up to test number 1. It's getting very, very real. See you on the next video.